6 o'clock news starts right now.
A Poteet City Councilwoman has been ordered to vacate her home after a judge ruled it was unsafe to live in.
The councilwoman says she's being targeted by other city leaders in the middle of a global pandemic, nonetheless.
Have they broke me? That's what they want to do, is break me. I'm going to be honest with you.
Dylan Collier now on the potential fallout if the city moves forward with its plan.
They do attack to certain people.
The home belonging to Denise Sanchez's late father on Avenue E in Poteet has seen better days. This footage from the Poteet Police Department, shared on Facebook and then reshared by the city in November 2018, shows the dilapidated conditions inside. And although Sanchez has made some repairs to the home,
If I can turn on the light. This is my kitchen.
it's still in need of having wiring installed in a back room and the kitchen. In February, calling it a substandard and dangerous structure, the city's presiding judge ordered Sanchez to leave the property within 90 days. Then last week, he denied a motion that would have pushed back the original order. Some people have called the attempt to remove Sanchez from her home political payback for her outspoken manner on city council. A federal lawsuit filed in San Antonio late yesterday by Sanchez's attorney named several high-ranking Poteet officials as defendants and claims Sanchez has angered the leaders of the town by repeatedly asking questions and demanding they live up to their obligations. Employees declined to answer the door at Poteet City Hall this morning, and multiple people named in the suit did not respond to requests for comment. Complicating Sanchez's possible removal from the home, the fact that she cares for a disabled veteran in poor health, who, according to Sanchez, has nowhere else to go.
I forgive everybody that's come after me. I hate no one. I wish I could. I just can't.
For the defenders, Dylan Collier, KSAT 12 News.
Sanchez was informed that police could remove her from the home as soon as today. She has arranged for someone to install the necessary wiring, but is worried the home will be demolished before the work can be done.
11 more cases of the antiviral drug remdesivir on its way to South Texas, with most of it coming to San Antonio. Governor Greg Abbott announcing that 9 hospitals in the San Antonio area would be receiving the medicine. 1 case will be going to Maverick County. Remdesivir is being distributed by the Texas Department of State Health Services throughout the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. Scientists say remdesivir has shown that it helps speed up the recovery time of COVID-19 patients in early tests. Almost 500 cases of the drug have been distributed in Texas. A collection of working groups has presented their recommendation on dealing with the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. The groups were a joint county and city venture, most of them co-led by a council member and a commissioner. Each group focused on a specific area like food security and shelter or social services. In all, they came up with dozens of ideas, everything from housing assistance to increased internet access to job training. The mayor called the final report a, quote, touchstone for policymaking.
That will help us as we identify future resources beyond the CARES Act to prioritize our resources in a way that addresses these needs in a more permanent manner, making ourselves a more healthful, equitable, resilient community.
The full recommendations can be found online. We have a link on our website, KSAT.com.
The Memorial Day weekend led to packed rivers in Comal County, which as of Friday had 81 confirmed cases of COVID-19, the number relatively lower than those surrounding areas like Bexar County and Hays counties. But as more and more people from all over flock to the area to cool off, there is concern that the virus could spike there. Devin Clark has some advice from one of the county's newly hired epidemiologists and tells us about plans to keep the virus from spreading.
With rivers back open in Texas, huge crowds did not hesitate to jump in and chill out in and around New Braunfels. The area has seen less cases of COVID-19 than other nearby cities like Austin and San Antonio, but county epidemiologist Dr. Anil Mangla is still urging rivergoers to wear masks as much as possible. And even though there is no evidence of the virus spreading through water, if you happen to live in the area, Dr. Mangla says you should enter the river as close to your home as possible.
So we're going to get a lot of tourists coming as well. So close to home means less travel, less stopping. That means less possibility of getting infected.
If you enter the river through a park, Dr. Mengla says you should check ahead and make sure that the restrooms and other facilities are functioning for sanitary reasons. Also, carry hand sanitizer and avoid group activities like water volleyball.
There shouldn't be gatherings of more than 10 people. So again, in a pool, you're going to get more than 10. So your risk from low or no risk is going to shoot up to high risk.
If you're sick or feeling like you're having seasonal allergies, Dr. Mengla says you should stay home. With more testing, he is expecting more cases. However, right now, he and a team are working on a new set of guidelines tailored to the area that can be put in place to slow the spread.
So that's going to be the very key and challenging part here in Comal County, because we have so much water parks and lakes around us.
And Dr. Mengla adds that swimming could lead to cracked, dry skin, which creates other opportunities for the coronavirus to enter the human body. He says it's very important to make sure that your skin is always moisturized. Devin Clark, KSAT 12 News.
500 donors per day. That's how much the South Texas Blood and Tissue Center says it needs to keep up with demand. As hospitals resume non-emergency surgeries delayed by the coronavirus, the blood supply for South Texas is dwindling. In addition, more than 120 blood drives have already been canceled due to the pandemic. That is a staggering loss of about 4,000 donations, which means giving is needed now more than ever.
To schedule that appointment, because we're only taking people with walk-in. We can't take people in with walk-ins right now. We need people to schedule that appointment and keep that appointment. Right now, we're only seeing about a 65% show rate of people making an appointment. So if you have that appointment, please keep it and come in because those needs are needed by patients.
While today's drive at the Shrine Auditorium has ended, more blood drives are expected in the coming weeks. You can check out South Texas Blood and Tissue Center's website for more information and to set up that crucial appointment. We have the link to get you there at KSAT.com.
The number of cases on backlog in the 10 felony district courts in Bexar County is over 2,000, and it's getting longer each day. It began when jury service was suspended in mid-March due to COVID-19. Paul Venema takes a look at the numbers and the proposed plans for recovery.
Since the coronavirus outbreak, there have been no prisoners in these courtroom holding cells awaiting trial. Courtroom activity has been limited primarily to pleas and sentencings. But as he reviews the soaring number of cases awaiting trial, Judge Ron Ronhell says it's not time to panic.
We never get into panic mode. Whatever the circumstances create for us, we're going to resolve that.
What Ronhell and the other district court judges must resolve is how to deal with over 2,300 cases that are on hold. And that's just in the felony district courts. Civil and county courts, too, are facing backlogs.
In the past, on a docket day, we would bring in 20, 25 inmates for one day, and we're going to ramp that down. Initially start off with each court only bringing in 5 inmates.
Trial date for getting the courts up and running is June 15th. That's the plan Ronhell will be submitting to the regional administrative judge.
Frankly, I don't know if we'll ever get back to the type of dockets that we had before.
He said the startup will be slow because of the guidelines from masks to social distancing in place at the courthouse as a result of COVID-19.
We want people to feel safe when they come in the courthouse, and knowing that is a priority means we need to start slow.
Jury trials, which take an average of about 1 week, probably won't start up until late summer.
Well, I think the recovery is going to last at least a year or more.
Paul Venema, KSAT 12 News.
I want to check in on the roadways right now with your time saver traffic. Not a whole lot going on out there as has been the case for the past several weeks. This is a shot of Highway 151 and Loop 410 West, where traffic is relatively light out there on this Tuesday. Registering new voters has become more of a challenge because of the COVID-19 pandemic.
Ground operation complemented by social media. The coronavirus forces us to do the opposite.
We're looking for 10,000 volunteers to each help us register 10 new Republican Texas voters.
Reaching potential voters was easier when voter registration drives would come to them, but many, like schools and college campuses, are closed. They say more phone calls, emails, and using social media will be needed to increase support for each of the presidential contenders, as well as other candidates.
Take a live look outside with Live Cam on this Tuesday after a long holiday weekend. We saw lots of rain. Pretty comfortable out there though today, Adam. 82 degrees, not too bad.
Yeah, feels good, actually.
It does.
Feels nice. Not overly humid, not too hot out there. And a nice looking sky, nice baby blue color with the patchy fair weather clouds. And I love this. Great news. The aquifer is up over a foot today. And just over the past couple of days, it's up nearly 3 feet. And it just continues to respond to that heavy rainfall. I mean, parts of Bexar County in 3 to 4 inches. All right, take a look at the pollen count, though. This is one of the side effects of rain. As usual, mold very high with a count of over 16,000. Right now, Floresville's at 83, Randolph at 78, Rio Medina 82 degrees, and Bulverde at 84. Going through the rest of the evening, very quiet out there. Just some puffy clouds, calm wind, a little bit of fog possible later on tonight. There is a chance of severe storms, though, right around the corner tomorrow night. I'm going to tell you more about that and tell you who's at the most risk for it coming up.
Across the nation, medical professionals are being held as heroes. Tonight, hear from experts who say some of these clinics are just barely hanging on.
We did not have a live daily briefing yesterday due to the Memorial Day holiday, but we are getting ready to hear from Ron Nirenberg and Judge Nelson Wolff to get the latest updated numbers on COVID-19 here in San Antonio. Let's listen in.
Bexar County Judge Nelson Wolff and Dr. Don Emmerich, the director of our Metropolitan Health District, and this is our COVID-19 update for the San Antonio community. Tonight we are confirming 2,480 cases of COVID-19 in Bexar County. This is an increase from yesterday of 31. Of those, 3 are from the community, 3 are from other congregate settings, and 25 are pending determinations. We thankfully have no new deaths to report this evening. Over in our hospitals, we continue to have stable numbers, and we are reporting 87 COVID-positive patients in local hospitals tonight. That is up from 3 yesterday. Should note that 44 of them are in intensive care and 19 are on ventilators. The numbers are, we are watching them carefully. This is one indicator among several that are part of our warning and progress indicators, and we want to make sure that our hospital numbers remain steady or decline. We don't want to see them tick up. We have seen a slow but gradual increase over the last week or so, and we are watching that closely, although our other progress indicators remain very strong. I should note that here in our hospitals, we are maintaining 80% of our ventilator capacity, which is a high number for us, and then 31% of our hospital staffed hospital beds are available as well. So the hospital system continues to be in stable condition, and we are watching those numbers closely. I'll turn it over now to the judge.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. And we had an announcement today by the governor, if you haven't caught it, starting this Friday, May the 29th, all food courts in the malls are going to be open. Water parks, indoor and outdoor, will be open. And then starting on the 31st of May, which is this coming Sunday, it's going to allow practices for recreational sports programs for adults, but games and similar competition may not begin till June the 15th. So that's going to allow more people to get out in the parks and to play some of the games, and then he allows driver education programs to begin starting May the 26th. So more openings coming. And another good reason why we all need to be careful how we handle it, and 6 foot apart, wearing the face mask. But let me tell you how good we're doing here in Bexar County. If you look at what's happening in the 5 major counties of Texas, Harris, Dallas, Travis County, Tarrant, and Bexar, you'll see that even in Travis County, where Austin's located, they've had 85 deaths, and they are 0.66 in terms of deaths per 1,000, and their cases per 1,000 are 2.29. That's 1,250,000. We have 2 million in Bexar County, and our deaths are only 69. And then our cases are the lowest of all 5 counties, the lowest in terms of deaths also. So again, that shows that the citizens of San Antonio are taking the precautions they need to take to make sure that we get through this crisis okay. So congratulations for the work that you're doing.
Thank you, Judge. And we want to remind everybody to keep their eye on the ball as we continue through this effort. And we know there's a number of efforts underway, including making sure that our business community has what it needs to open safely and conduct the openings in these phases efficiently. And so part of the panel recommendations from our economic transition team report, which was entitled A Guide to Reopening San Antonio and Bexar County. The City of San Antonio, along with Bexar County, will provide COVID-19 safety supply kits to small businesses and nonprofits to help them and prepare them for reopening. And these are being distributed tomorrow at the Alamo Dome. More than 5,000 businesses have signed up to receive supplies, and that also includes a pledge to maintain the best practices outlined by our health transition teams and our economic transition teams. The supplies in each kit include thermometers, hand sanitizers, and face masks, and that, again, part of the best practices for opening these small businesses. You can register by calling 311 in order to pick up your small business supply kit. Again, those are going to be distributed tomorrow. I do want to remind us also that we are in a census year, and it's more important than ever to complete the census. We have seen recently a drop in the daily response rates, and we each need to do our part to make sure that we have a complete count of our community. The census helps determine the federal funding that we receive for basic services and infrastructure. It also determines our level of representation in Congress, fighting on your behalf in D.C. So it takes just a few minutes to fill out your census. You can go to my2020census.gov and complete the questionnaire. If you complete your census today, you will be glad that you did, and you can also take a moment to call your family and friends to remind them to do that as well. As always, you can get the latest on COVID-19 on our website, covid19.sanantonio.gov, or you can text KOSA-GOV to 55000. One last note, I do want to let you know about the new testing locations, the pop-up testing sites that will be operating this week, Thursday through Saturday. The first site will be located at San Antonio College on Main Avenue, and the second will be at Highlands High School on Elgin. Those will operate from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., and that's Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So at this point, Dr. Emmerich, as well as the judge and myself, are here.
All right, we've been listening into the daily city-county briefing, and as we mentioned, there was not a briefing due to the Memorial Day holiday yesterday, but as of today, the latest numbers are 2,480 confirmed cases, 69 deaths, so no new ones as of yesterday, and that the hospital numbers are stable. The mayor, as you heard him there, talk a little bit about that they are watching them carefully because this is one of many indicators that the city is using to kind of track the progression of the disease within our community, and that it has been a slow but gradual increase. So they are watching that closely.
So yeah, they said that that's very stable, so they're very pleased with that. Judge Nelson Wolff pointing out the fact that when we compare ourselves to the other 5 large counties across Texas, Bexar County doing very well, actually has the lowest number of deaths, the lowest number of cases based on population. So the precautions that we're taking, the social distancing, 25% capacity at businesses and all of that, wearing the mask, that does appear to be working at this time. Also reminding folks that on May 29th, food courts and water parks will be reopening. And then on the 31st, this Sunday, recreational sports for adults can resume practices, but they won't be able to do games until June 15th. So that's another step in the right direction for reopening.
And then the mayor also mentioning 2 more things. Those safety supply kits he talked a little bit about last week. Those are now ready to pick up if you registered at the Alamo Dome tomorrow between 9 and 5. 5,000 businesses have signed up so far. If you're one of those businesses who are interested, you can still register by calling 311. And that he announced also those 2 new testing sites at San Antonio College and Highlands High School beginning tomorrow.
All right, we'll have a complete wrap up for you tonight on the Night Beat. Let's check in with Adam for the weather.
Pretty quiet day today. Nice clouds out there right now, and some of those clouds are dropping a few showers, and that's southeast of town, but that's it. Otherwise, nothing to worry about. So take a look at the radar screen, and this one lone shower was a thunderstorm with a little bit of hail. Now it's really falling apart as it just barely misses Karnes City in Karnes County there. And that's it. You look at the wider view around our area, nothing else, just some patchy fair weather clouds. And quite often recently, we've been looking off to the west for development in Mexico. It's a different type of setup right now, so that's not the focus. Tomorrow night, we're looking off to the north for development. Basically, between here and Dallas, we'll likely see some development. That's a result of this big upper level low. I mean, this is causing widespread rain on the east side of it and stretching all the way up the Mississippi there. All right, so there is the threat for severe weather come tomorrow night, around and then a little bit after sunset. In this orange area, basically from Fredericksburg to Bernie, Canyon Lake, Seguin, and northward, that's where we have the most enhanced risk of severe weather come tomorrow evening. So here's our futurecast. During the day, nothing to worry about, bright sunshine, a beautiful Wednesday. In the afternoon, to the north of us, those storms start to develop. They push southward and they could organize a little bit. So by sunset around here, Edwards Plateau, Hill Country could be getting some activity. And then a little after sunset and even closer to 10, 11 p.m., we could have some storms even hitting San Antonio. Again, the greatest risk for the severe weather is north of town, but we are not out of the woods even here. The farther south you are of San Antonio, the lesser are your chances of any severe weather. Near 90 tomorrow afternoon with the sunshine, and then just a few pop-up storms possible the rest of the week.
All right. Thank you, Adam.
If we have the NFL this fall, will fans be in the stands?
You know what? According to One Plan Tim and Easties, that is a go right now. When we come back, you'll hear from the owner of the Miami Dolphins what he has to say about the NFL's comeback. And what about hockey's comeback? The plans are in place. We'll let you know what they are coming up.
Pro football coverage, powered by Davis Law Firm.
The NFL season will go on as planned, and right now, at least one team owner is optimistic it will be with fans. Now, that's according to Miami Dolphins owner Stephen Ross, who made an appearance on CNBC today. The NFL has already released their regular season schedules. That includes the first game slated for September the 10th between the Houston Texans and the defending Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs. As a rematch of the Chiefs' remarkable comeback against Houston after being down by 24 points in the playoffs. And while Ross says he believes the season will start on time, that is not the big question.
Will there be fans in the stadiums? I think right now today we're planning on having fans in the stadiums. But I think the NFL is looking at it and is very flexible so that we will be able to start on time. But certainly the NFL, I think, will be ready to go. And I think we're all looking forward to it. I know I am. We've done a lot of things down in Miami here, and we're prepared either way. And hopefully there'll be fans in the stadiums.
Now, the Dolphins have been one of the leaders in designing a model that would allow limited fans in the stands by team president Tim Garfinkel. In his design, there would be socially distanced 15,000 fans who would wear masks and would have to order their food and beverages from their seats. The league has already allowed the limited reopening of team facilities as a first step in returning to normal during the COVID-19 pandemic. The commissioner of the National Hockey League, Gary Bettman, announced the league's return to play format today, giving us a glimpse of what hockey will look like as it plans to resume this summer. It will resume with 24 teams straight to the playoffs format, leaving 7 teams out in the cold with their seasons coming to an end. The Players Association has approved the format involving the top 4 teams in each conference playing a mini tournament for seeding, while the other 16 face off at a best-of-5 series to set the field.
We anticipate playing over the summer and into the early fall. At this time, we are not fixing dates because the schedule of our return to play will be determined both by developing circumstances and the needs of our players.
Well, even though the National Hockey League season could return after being shut down in March, the Board of Governors of the American Hockey League have already canceled the rest of their season, which means the Rampage days in San Antonio are over. With the NBA still finalizing their plans on the return to play in late July, that gives us time to take a look back in Spurs history with the Admiral David Robinson. Robinson made an appearance on NBA Together live stream last night, in which he covered a number of topics, including if he doubts about playing for the Spurs. Remember, the Spurs won the #1 pick in 1987, used that to select David out of the Naval Academy, knowing all the while that he had to serve at least 2 years of active duty before he could suit up in silver and black in 1989. To that end, Robinson could have easily opted out of his commitment to the Spurs after his commitment to the Navy, and host Ernie Johnson wanted to know how close did Robinson come to not landing in San Antonio.
I wasn't sure at all. I mean, San Antonio was not a very good team when I got here. So you got to take that into account, right? Are you going to go to a small market that is not very good? There's got to be some compelling reasons to do it. And I just, until I came down here and met the folks and got a chance to see what this organization was about, I really did not think I would sign here. So it was, I felt like they had to convince me that this was a place that we could grow and learn together. And they were going to make a commitment, a long-term commitment to doing that. And they convinced me that they were going to make a long-term commitment to it.
And you can thank Red McCombs, Angelo Drosos, and also the then Mayor Henrik Cisneros for their actions in making sure that happened.
All right. Thank you, Greg.
Our Q&A coming up next.
Time now for our coronavirus Q&A. It is a segment in our show where we take questions to the experts. And today we are pleased to be joined with Dr. Ruth Berggren from the Long School of Medicine at UT Health San Antonio. And Dr. Berggren, I want to begin by asking you a little bit about some of the images that we saw over the Memorial Day weekend. Lots of crowds out there. And obviously it's something that some folks are comfortable with and other folks are not. I just want to ask you, what are your thoughts on people getting out for some recreation and your reaction to what we saw?
Being outdoors is good, okay? This is a good thing, but if being outdoors lowers risk of transmission, which it does, crowding ramps it back up again. So you undo all the good you've done about getting outdoors if you stand in a crowd. You still have to stand apart. There's nothing magic about being outside that causes you to be able to stand closer to someone than that 6-foot guideline, which is a little arbitrary, but more than 6 feet is probably even better. So I want to encourage people in San Antonio to exercise, to be healthy, go outdoors, and actually go for walks with other people, but do it in a safe way. And you can do that. Just don't get close to each other. And if there's going to be the risk that you're getting closer to each other, then that's when people should wear masks. The other thing is when you go to the beach or you go to a water park, even if you're social distancing while you're doing your activity, think about what else? What are your other activities while you're there? Are you going to the bathroom? Are you going to buy food? And are you observing all the social distancing rules there? So I'm not against people going outside. I'm for it, but don't crowd each other.
All right, doctor, last week, two important studies came out regarding two drugs that are being used for therapy and treating COVID-19, that being hydroxychloroquine as well as remdesivir. Your take on those studies and what they show?
Right, so the reason I think it's really important to bring this up again is that we now have two articles that have come out in the peer review literature. That means that that data has been carefully vetted by people that are experts in the field. And previously, we're dealing with a lot of hearsay or early reports. And the first one on the hydroxychloroquine was remarkable how many people were involved. So they did a retrospective analysis that involved more than 600 hospitals, multiple countries, and they looked at people who either did or didn't get hydroxychloroquine or chloroquine plus or minus azithromycin. And they had about 15,000 of those that got some sort of hydroxychloroquine-based treatment. And they compared them to 81,000 COVID patients who didn't get it. So that is huge. And that gives us a lot of possibility of statistical significance in the comparison. And what they found was that hydroxychloroquine or chloroquine really dramatically increases the mortality rate from COVID-19. The controls, the people who didn't get it, their mortality rate was about 9%. If the people got hydroxychloroquine or chloroquine plus or minus azithromycin, their mortality rate was 16 to 24%. What that means is it more than doubles your risk of dying. That's important to know. And the other thing they looked at was heart rhythm problems. Ventricular arrhythmia is a dangerous condition of the heart that can basically cause your heart to stop. That risk went up by a factor of more than 10, probably a factor of 20. So this is a huge, huge number of people. And this is pretty good evidence that we should not be messing around with this. The World Health Organization discontinued, at least temporarily, their prospective study on hydroxychloroquine. So very definitive evidence from a peer-reviewed journal.
Very interesting. Dr. Berggren, I want to ask you about something that the mayor mentioned today in his briefing, and he mentioned it again last week, and that is that the city is closely watching the hospital numbers. They've seen a slow, gradual increase. It's one of many indicators he said that they are looking at. Can you tell us what exactly that means, and also what are some of those other indicators that the city is looking at?
Right, so people with COVID-19, they don't go to the hospital right away. Oftentimes they don't get to the hospital into the second week of their illness. And so if you kind of look back at when we relaxed our restrictions, you would expect that there would be some cases by now, but you're barely getting into the second week where people with COVID might actually show up in the hospital. It is absolutely to be expected that we'd see an uptick in cases with relaxing of restrictions unless the virus had suddenly mutated or gone away. It hasn't mutated, it hasn't gone away, it's very much still here. So if we stop the measures that we know can control it, we will get increases. The fact that they are mild upticks is very reassuring, and people shouldn't use that as a message saying, oh, well, let's just throw caution to the wind. They should use this as a message that, you know what, social distancing works, and we should keep doing it. And I think we've all gotten smarter about how to get out into the world, do our thing. I went and got my hair cut last week under very careful circumstances. I want to give my hairdresser a shout out and an A+. Taking temperatures at the door, they were asking the questions. Everybody was wearing a mask. Hand washing was going on. People were more than 6 feet apart. So you can have a life. You can do your business, but you have to do it safely. So I think that's what those numbers mean. They're to be expected, and I'm thankful that they're not higher. But if we want to keep them low, as we go out and do our business, we got to do it the right way.
All right, Dr. Ruth Bergen from the Long School of Medicine at UT Health San Antonio, thank you very much for your time.
We'll see you again at 9. Thank you. We'll be right back. National treasure Betty White says she's holding up well during the coronavirus outbreak. She says she is in incredibly good health and is self-isolating to keep it that way. The 98-year-old actress is sheltering in place at her home in Southern California. She says the pandemic is Mother Nature's way of telling us all to slow down, according to Closer Weekly.
Right now, she says she's spending her time reading the LA Times cover to cover and doing plenty of crossword puzzles. She says she's tried playing Scrabble with friends over Zoom, but she misses in-person game night. White says the pandemic is serious, but we've overcome worse. Her message is to slow down and enjoy what we have: family, friends, and your pets.
I say that's some pretty good advice
Glad
from
to
Betty
hear she's
White.
doing well.
Yes. Turning now to weather, 82 degrees out there. Very calm outside today, but boy, have we had a weekend.
Yes, it was quite a weekend with one confirmed tornado touchdown and a lot of straight line damaging winds. And I'm going to get into details about that tornado coming up after the break. But first, our weather headlines. No storms tonight. Okay, we're looking good tonight. We had one rogue storm earlier this afternoon. It's gone. It's dissipated. It's out of here. A nice, calm, pleasant evening and night. Severe weather possible tomorrow night. And then you look ahead, and as the weather quiets down, it's not going to be overly hot, actually. Temperatures pretty close to average. So we'll talk about that confirmed tornado and your forecast coming right up.
Memorial Day weekend in South Texas has a history of causing problems weather-wise, and certainly lived up to that again this year.
Yeah, it's notorious for active weather, and not just active weather, but even some historic weather, you know, where you get major floods, you have strong thunderstorms that cause damage, and even, well, this year a tornado. All right, and that was confirmed. So let's take a look at it. This is the tornado the National Weather Service confirmed in the Wild Horse subdivision on the far northwest side of San Antonio and Bexar County here, just outside of 1604, okay, south of Braun Road. And it was a short path and a brief tornado, nonetheless confirmed right along Palomino Path. That's the road there in the Wild Horse subdivision. This is an EF1. Remember, the scale starts at EF0 and then goes up to 5 being the biggest. So this is an EF1. Estimated winds at 100 miles per hour. Path length about a half a mile. The maximum width 50 yards. Now, this of course caused a lot of damage, but all around the area they had a lot of straight line wind damage that was measured. Impressive rainfall totals over the past several days. I mean, this is good drought erasing rain for some parts of South Texas, and really boosting the aquifer. I mean, it's back up to 2.5 feet above the May average, and we really staved off stage 1 water restrictions for a while. Look at these estimates. Where you see the red, it indicates about 5 to 6 inches of rain estimated by the Doppler radar over the past handful of days. Right now, on the radar, just detecting a little downpour here near Karnes City. Not a big deal. A few hundredths of an inch of rain with that, and that would be it. Otherwise, those patchy clouds will be dissipating, and it's going to be a beautiful and lovely evening. Now, the past several days, the focus was out in Mexico and West Texas for development that would then push our way. That's not the case right now. And actually, as we look into tomorrow, that's not going to be the case. We'll be focusing to the north of San Antonio, up closer to Dallas, Wichita Falls area, Lubbock area. We'll be looking for development up there on the backside of this big, broad, upper-level low-pressure system. And that's causing a lot of shower activity out ahead of it with a good feed of Gulf moisture up the midsection of the country. We'll have enough energy on the backside of it to kickstart some storms tomorrow. Now, the primary locations where we could see the severe weather is generally north of San Antonio in this orange outlined area. So think of it this way: Fredericksburg to Bernie to Canyon Lake to Seguin and northward. You are under the most enhanced risk for severe weather tomorrow. That doesn't mean we're out of the woods here in San Antonio. It's just that it looks like most of the activity and the more likely areas of severe weather will be north of town, but we could get clipped here as well. So something we'll keep an eye on for tomorrow night, tomorrow evening and tomorrow night. Here's our futurecast. Quiet during the day tomorrow. Nice, sunny, beautiful Wednesday. Don't worry about anything during the day. It's going to be an A-OK day. Then we get to about sunset, and some of that activity from North Texas will be pushing southward, make it into parts of the hill country, Edwards Plateau. Thereafter sunset and through about 10, 11 p.m. and midnight, some of that could even make it into San Antonio with the potential for some severe weather with it. Maybe large hail, maybe straight line winds, something we'll have to watch. Otherwise, today, this is a nice time lapse of that downpour we had with a little bit of hail in the east side of town as that pushed to the southeast. That was actually that storm, or the shower I showed you down in Karnes County, what's left of it. Now we got a clear sky. 87, that was our high today after a low of 65. And right now, well, we're in the 80s for the most part. You get to Pleasanton, it's 87, 83 in New Braunfels, and Rock Springs now at 81, but 10 degrees warmer in Del Rio. Tomorrow, we'll start the day at 67, make it to 91 at 5 p.m. A sunny day, just fine. It's after sunset, especially as we get closer to 10 p.m. to midnight, when we'll have that 40% chance, those scattered storms pushing in from the north and the chance of some severe weather. Then the rest of the week, those 20% chances, that's just the little rogue isolated pop-up afternoon storm, kind of like what we saw today.
All right. Thank you so much, Adam.
We'll be right back.
Here's today's in case you missed it.
San Antonio police investigating the death of an infant who they say died under suspicious circumstances at a north side apartment this morning.
As of right now, the boy's mother is considered a suspect in this case. Police say she called 911 around 4 a.m. saying her baby was on the floor and not breathing. Despite their efforts, paramedics were unable to resuscitate him. Prior to that 911 call, neighbors reported hearing a disturbance involving a woman inside the apartment.
They're saying at one point they heard the woman screaming, "Call 911." It's unclear what role, if any, the mother had in the infant's death. However, police say she is a suspect at this point.
San Antonio police are looking for two men accused of robbing a man outside a motel on Austin Highway earlier this month. Take a look at these pictures. Police say in the early hours of May 14th, these men held the victim at gunpoint in the parking lot of the Sands Motel on Austin Highway, not far from Ritterman Road. If you recognize these people, Crime Stoppers will pay up to $5,000 for information that leads to their arrest. The number to call, 210-224-STOP.
Arson called in to investigate a fire at a Northside car wash last night. It was reported as a structure fire, but firefighters arrived to find a vehicle on fire inside one of the wash stalls. Right now on KSAT.com, you can read up on some of the new guidelines reopening at Six Flags that being put in place for guests and employees. Along with those changes, it requires anyone over the age of 2 to wear masks. Six Flags Fiesta Texas has not yet specified a date for its reopening. You can read the full article, though, on KSAT.com.
If you happen to watch SA Live today, you already know that today is National Paper Airplane Day. It's a day for fans of flying to let their imaginations take off. All you need to take to the air is a sheet of paper. Doesn't matter if your plane is simple or extravagant.
Paper airplanes are believed to date back to ancient China. If you don't know how to make those planes, there are resources online, just like everything else. Mike and Fiona had a little flying contest to see who was the better paper airplane maker. To see who came out on top on that, just go to salive.com. My grandpa Gerber was the nicest guy, but if you made a paper airplane, he would get mad. Hated those things.
Yeah. I know a lot of people who do, yeah.
Was he in the you can poke somebody's eye
Yes,
camp?
very much so.
Yeah, I get it. It reminds me of a few years ago. I think we had a little impromptu competition in the newsroom.
Yeah.
And one of them got stuck up somewhere in the it's probably still there. All right, so morning clouds, a little bit of fog tomorrow morning. Otherwise, a sunny day. Chance of storms is tomorrow evening and tomorrow night, where some could be severe, and the highest chance of that is just north of San Antonio, but we're not out of the woods around town either. Otherwise, the rest of the week, generally quiet out there, and high temperatures upper 80s, right near 90 as we go forward with overall decent amount of sun.
All right, thank you, Adam. Thanks for watching the news at 6.